All right, y'all, here we are. One more story. I am super excited to hear from Amber today. Amber is the creator behind JB's Crochet. I will link that channel right below in the description. But Amber, welcome. Thank you so much for being willing. I cannot talk today. Willing to share your story with us.
Thank you for having me.
So, when did you start crocheting?
Oh, geez. Well, I started before obviously I had my daughter because I made her a baby blanket. I'm guessing between 15 and 18 years ago I started crocheting. I don't know. A friend of mine and myself, we were both military wives, very young military wives, and had nothing else to do and just decided to learn one day, and rest is history.
Oh, wow. So how did you learn? You just decided.
Books, and I believe YouTube was still around, was early on back then. It was still around then. I'm thinking. I don't remember when YouTube started, but I do remember using the Crochet Crowd to teach, or not to teach, but to learn from. For
Okay.
a lot of visual. Like I said, I'm a visual person when it comes to learning. So
Same.
yeah. But
So what did you start crocheting? Like what were your first projects?
blankets probably. That's hard for me to remember, but I'm trying to I think I've always been a blanket person. So because I don't know what it is about blankets. I can make a million of them and just have that many going at one time and go from one to the next as long as I write down what hook I used, what pattern I'm using, where I
Yes.
left off, all that fun jazz. So yeah.
And it's hard to forget. I mean, it's hard to remember to do all those things because it's like in your head, you think, I'm gonna remember this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nope.
How could I forget this?
Right. So I think it was blankets, to be honest. Well, maybe scarves, blankets, the easy stuff, like the hot pads, those kinds of things. I honestly can't even remember what the very first project was. I've been trying to wreck my brain, like what was it? And I just don't know. I
Whatever
don't know.
made you happy in the moment, yes?
Right, right.
Yes,
And
indeed.
I do have a funny story about my daughter's baby blanket. So, um, we didn't start having kids. So we've been married almost 20 years, and we didn't start having kids until 6 years into our marriage. And so we were in the military at that point, right? So,
You as
uh,
well?
no, well, I was a military, I was the wife.
Okay,
So,
okay. I just
yeah,
wanted to clarify because I was like,
no, no, he was the military. He did the actual, like, enrollment, or not enrollment, enlistment. And I
and
was,
you did the
the help.
support of that.
Yep, I was the support. Um, but before we had her, we had lots of, military friends, and we hung out with them a lot. And towards the tail end of one of our friends' duty station there where we were at, they got pregnant and they were having a girl. And so I decided to make a baby blanket for them. But of course, I'm really bad about finishing things quickly. But here lately I've gotten better about it. But back a year or so ago from now, blankets were taking me forever to finish. Anyway, so I didn't get it finished. They moved away. I didn't get their moving address. Lost contact with them. I was like, well, it's done. I folded it up, put it away, and I said, well, maybe I'll have it for a future kid. Lord willing, I had my first child was my daughter, and she got the blanket. So,
Aw, see, that's sweet. So it
and
was almost
she
like,
loves that thing. Like, she will not let me remake her a bigger one and take that one. Like, she wants to keep that one and get a bigger one.
I ain't mad at her.
Yeah.
I ain't
So
mad at her. And how old is she now?
she just turned 13.
Oh, that's a fun age.
Yeah, especially with her.
Indeed. So, okay, you started crocheting. You were a military wife, didn't really have a whole lot to do. When did you start your YouTube channel?
Well, so if you look at my info, it says my channel was started, I think, 2014, but that was like 10 years ago. So that would have been, I don't know why I started one that far back, but it's been up for a while, but it's changed faces quite a bit because I originally started a couple years ago wanting to do a homeschool channel because that's all I know. I mean, well, it's not all I know, but like that's all I'm immersed in right now. But with this one specifically, the crochet, JB's Crochet, I used to be a winter only crocheter, because it's just cold and you're inside and something to do. And I don't know, some around October, November of last year, I was just around YouTube and I'm like, I kept seeing this one creator pop up and I'm like, I don't know if I want to go watch a male creator. I don't know. I just, I was just like that. So I was like, I kept pushing him off. And then one day in December, I decided, you know what? I'm going to check one of his videos out. And then it's been uphill ever since, history ever since, whatever the saying is. And I said, I think March, I started playing with the idea. I was like, I kind of want to get my channel up and rolling again and just do crochet, yarn, anything yarn related really, but mostly crochet. That's how that started.
That is awesome. Yeah, I like your channel a lot. And I am so excited about that beanie tutorial. Y'all,
I appreciate that.
check out that beanie tutorial. I'm actually going to link that specific video below as well as her channel. Um, just because I cannot wait. These amazing, amazing.
Thank you.
Because
You're making me
some
blush.
beanies they've got the either an X at the top and they stick out funny or it's a point.
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah.
I like them when they just kind of.
I don't like the slouchy beanies, and most of the hats that I make, they're just, I don't know. I love making them for other people, but I'm not a big beanie person, but I was just like, you know what? I want to try my hand at making one. And the one I ended up making in the tutorial, I actually ended up really liking. So, because it fits me well. And I think
You
I
have
really
it with
like it.
you?
Yeah,
Can we see it?
sit right here.
See? Perfectly round. Perfectly round.
The crown.
That's right.
But
So
yeah,
it works from the tip
it's a top
down.
down. Yep. Yep. I've done the bottom up ones, but I don't really like doing those too much because I don't. I feel like you can do a little bit more customization for sizes with this. Where I don't know, maybe you can do it the other
Yeah.
way. Just it makes more sense to my brain with this. I don't know where I was going with that. I
I
had
don't
my
know. I
thought.
think I derailed you. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. I was gonna say the creator that I ended up watching. He recommended to me because I'm a member of his channel, and so we do these weekly Zooms, which is really cool that I get to do a weekly Zoom with a YouTube creator that's a bigger channel. It's just kind of cool. I fangirl a lot with him, but he said
Do you want a
he
name
had
drop?
really, what's that?
Do you want a name drop?
Sure, it's Juan the Yarn Addict.
Okay. I will link
I don't
his
know.
channel also. Yeah.
I do too. There's just something about the way the way he explains things. It works with my brain. It just I don't know. And he comes across a nice person to me. I don't know. So,
Okay.
um, but he was told by somebody else to post every day and that would help get you, seen more, I guess. And so that's why I try to do, it may not be a video every day. It may be like a short, which literally takes me all of, you know, 5 minutes to record 30 seconds and then play with it on my phone and, schedule it and stuff. So yeah,
Okay.
just having fun with it.
Might as well.
Yeah.
So where do you see your crochet journey taking you? Like I
Honestly,
never,
I
yeah.
don't know. Like, I don't know really.
Where would you
Just
like for it to go?
now I'm not looking to become like, huge and like get all this attention and stuff like that. I'm just doing it for fun. So like it's just the little things and little directions that God has just and I'm a big believer in that. And I believe that everything is designed on purpose by him. And so, like, the fact
Right.
that you reached out to me and we're just clicking and it's just,
Yeah.
those things. So
Yeah.
just,
Like my sister from another mister,
yeah,
seriously.
yeah.
She's in my head on an
No,
all
no.
the time
I think we
basis.
share the same headspace or something.
I think so. I think so. Like that works for me.
And the fact that you're in Georgia, right? Yep, we were in Kingsland, Georgia for our our last duty station with the Navy. So,
I
and
I don't
that's where my daughter was born.
I don't know where. Ah, she's a Georgia peach.
She is a Georgia peach. Yep, yep. And then I got my Nebraska Cornhusker baby boys over here.
Okay, okay. That's awesome. It's amazing how things just kind of opportunities are like for everything. Do you know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Like you said, everything is the way that it's supposed to be. It's
Yeah,
divine intervention or divine inspiration. I don't know what
yeah,
really, however it is that you want to call it,
yeah,
but it is really neat how everything you need up to and including friendships, people that, come in and out of your life, how they
yep.
just happen to like, yeah, it's
I
weird.
know, like, I mean, I just happened to click on that one's video and I literally started binge watching him. And like, then he started rolling out memberships, which included Zoom meetings. And then I started doing that. And like, like, and then you found me and here we are. Like, it just, when you
Yes,
sit back and look at it, it's just crazy how, I don't know, just things just line up
that's
perfectly,
right. That's
you know?
right. Yeah, the crochet community has been phenomenal.
It really has.
Phenomenal. Yes, ma'am. So, what advice do you have? I know it was a few years ago when you started, but what advice do you have for somebody that's just either starting their crochet journey or just feeling in a kind of like in a slump about it? Like, you know what I mean by
Yeah.
slump, right?
Yeah. Well, I can go off based off my daughter. So she's been for years asking me to learn, like, and I just kept going, "Ugh, you're a lefty, you're young, I don't want to, like, I'm very much like her and I, like, we butt heads a lot.
We're
We're too much
supposed to.
alike. Yeah. And I don't know, just, I kept pushing it off, kept pushing it off. And then I don't know what it was back in December around the same time I was finding one. Allowed her to sit in front of the computer and watch YouTube, and she found a video that she was wanting to watch crochet videos for patterns and stuff. And so she was watching a bunch. She found one, went and grabbed some scrap yarn that she had or something, or she asked me for some yarn, something. She whipped up a little whale, an amigurumi, her first try out. I mean, it wasn't perfect, but
But
I
wow,
was like
though,
super proud of her. So
yes.
so I'm just playing off of being, teaching her, like, her and I, we're finally starting to, like, we're still butting heads. I mean, that's not going away anytime soon, but, like, when it comes to crocheting, she's slowly starting to listen to me, and from my experience, like, I know what I'm talking about, kind of thing. Um, but I tell her it's okay to make mistakes. So this is what I would tell newbies is make mistakes. Make them on purpose, do it like if it's,
Absolutely.
you're going to learn how not to do it next time.
That's right.
So and I recently heard that somewhere and I'm like that's really good. Like you're not going to learn how to do something without either trying and or making the mistakes along the way. So I mean that's how we learn sometimes. We have to fall in order to know how to yeah, put a
Yeah.
foot in front of the other.
And
So,
you can't grow, expand, you can't get better, none of that without making mistakes. Like
yeah.
it's
Like I'm working
impossible.
Yeah, I'm working on a blanket and I'm following a tutorial by Juan for his spring crochet along and my count wasn't adding up. And I'm like, what did I do wrong? I don't know what I did wrong, but I figured out a way with the knowledge that I had, from past mistakes or whatever that I just needed to maybe skip a stitch to make the count end up right, and it works out just fine. So,
Yeah, mistakes are pretty critical. Definitely not a failure. It feels like you failed, like
yeah.
in that moment that you realize I just I just made a mistake. Well, great. Do it all the time. But it's not a failure. It's just
Yeah.
a lesson.
And if it keeps frustrating you, something I heard recently, I mean, it's so funny. Like I said, I've been doing this 15 to 18 years. I don't know, 2 decades. I'm just going to say 2 decades. Almost. And I just recently I feel like I'm learning more now in the last year, just because I've been on YouTube more and watching all these other crocheters and yarn people and whatever. If you just keep getting frustrated with something, just put it in timeout. I'm like,
That's
that's a
right.
good way of thinking of it. Put it in a timeout and then go
Like a
work on something
toddler.
else for a little bit. Yeah. And come back to it and maybe you'll have a refreshed perspective on it, or you'll go, I just don't want to do it anymore. And then you
Yeah.
can rip it all out. Well, frog it all out, go to the frog pond as
Ribbit,
another new
ribbit.
thing and make something else with it.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. There are a lot of projects that I have. Matter of fact, well, I'm not going to get into that, but I don't even know if I'm going to finish those projects. Like at
Yeah.
this point, I'm like, it's not bringing me joy. So yeah,
I
put it
I
down,
started a
step
project for a
away.
best friend's housewarming gift that I'm like doing this when I go to think about it. I'm like, "Ugh, I shouldn't be doing that. I should be going, oh, this is for my friend. I need to get this done. But I'm like,
Yeah,
it's like,
I
it's
get
not
that.
because of who it's for. It's the pattern I picked to do that. She wants a blanket like this. It's called Sophie's Universe.
I've heard of
And
it.
it's not exactly a complicated, advanced one necessarily, but it's one that you have to count every stitch and be very like and that fits
Intentional.
in with my perfectionism, but at the same time it frustrates me because if I don't get it right, it's like
Yeah,
but
I totally
thankfully I know some
get
people that have done it and can help me, so I just need to do it.
that. Yay!
Another divine intervention, if it hadn't have been for finding Juan and starting these Zoom meetings, I met another person through that who has done the Sophies, and she's like a Sophie's, what do they call her? Sophie's captain, where people can go to her and,
And help.
ask questions like, am I doing this right? What do I do next? That kind of thing. So
That's
thankfully I do
awesome.
have somebody I can go to if I need it.
That
And
is
I still do.
awesome. Uh,
I still need help even this far into my journey.
I think we all do at some point. Random freaking question.
Oh, you're
Uh,
fine.
so
I like
you've
random.
always been kind of like a blanket person, and you mentioned
Right.
scarves, but you've also you designed that hat yourself, right?
Well, yeah, I threw stitches together. Yeah.
Well, that's
Yeah.
pretty much it.
Yeah.
Like none of us own the stitches themselves. Like
Right. And
none of us own that.
I know there's similar hats out there like it, but I literally okay, let me backtrack how I even got started with this hat. My daughter is part of a troop, a Christian organization called American Heritage Girls. It's kind of like Girl Scouts, but it's Christian.
Okay.
But and very patriotic, very much about family and community and serving and all that. Um, one of the girls, so as they level up in the troop, they earn badges and stuff. And one of the girls was going for a level award for her level. It's called the Abigail Adams Award. It's in tribute to certain women um, throughout history. And this young lady that was doing the badge or the award, she for her project, I can't talk today either. Just her and her family have had hearing issues, and so they're very well experienced in hearing aids and hearing loss and all that stuff. And I guess they're called cochlear implants that go on the back of the
Yeah.
head.
Uh-huh.
And most of the beanies out there, they don't have holes in them, and so like something it does something to like interfering with the
Sound
implant,
waves. Yeah.
ripping it off, like pulling on it and stuff, and just hats don't fit well. And so there's patterns out there. They're called Baja hats. I don't remember what the letters stand for, but the last two are hearing aid.
Okay.
But these hats are designed with holes all the way around it, to allow the hat to be placed whichever, however they end up putting it on their head. And they have a hole for their implant.
That's awesome.
So the crown on that hat started with the crown that I started with on my hat. So I took the crown from that pattern, which it's a standard crown for, across a lot of beanies out there and hats. And because the V stitch, it's called the twins in a stitch that I got from Juan, and half double crochets, because those don't require too much math and they're even numbers and stuff like that. I was able to, just do several rounds. I just played with it until it looked fun, until it looked good. So
That's
that's
cool.
the backstory behind designing that. So yeah,
Yeah, I think that's awesome. Is that the first thing that you've designed?
I I mean, I think so officially. Yeah. I may have came up with like scarves in the past, but I don't really remember too well. My brain is just memory issues.
Well, I think a lot of us will just sit down and just crochet, just create without
Right.
actually making a decision. Oh, I'm going to design something today. So I
Yeah.
think that there are many, many crocheters that really truly do have the designer bug in them. They just don't even, they hadn't thought about it.
Yeah. I'm very much a person who like I like A, B, C, D. Like I like, step by step how to do things. And so like following other people's patterns and tutorials is I'm all about that. But yeah, trying to come up with my own is it's harder for me just because I'm like I don't know what I like because I like everything. So it was just I took
Yeah.
inspiration from Juan with this hat because it's in honor of him. It's a tribute to him for inspiring me. So
That's
that's
awesome.
why I made it my first hat, a tribute to him. So
That is awesome.
yeah.
Okay. All right. Are there any lessons that you have learned throughout your crochet journey that we spoke earlier about mistakes and them being lessons that you can learn to do, better next time or something like that. But are there things that you have learned throughout your crochet journey that you then transform into, the rest of your life?
I
Or
don't know if there's anything profound that I've learned, but like I've learned tips and tricks to help maybe like make it easier to do things with crochet, I guess you could say. Like,
like what?
you know, not chaining to start double crochets anymore. When you go up to a new row, I've learned how to basically do what they call a stacked single crochet or a standing single crochet. And I use that now. And if I have to chain 3 to start a new like, double crochet round or something, I do that because it gives me
An
a stitch
actual
that looks
stitch.
like a double crochet, but it's and gives me a little bit of the height that I need without having to chain and give me the, that chaining hole that you get.
Yes, and I don't like that. I had somebody ask me the other day, um, do you chain or do you stack your single crochets? Well, that really depends on the project.
Yeah.
It does. Like, because
Yep.
I mean, if that chain 2, 3, 27, it makes no difference. If that counts
Right.
as a stitch, then I will stack them. If it
Yes.
doesn't count as a stitch, then I'm going to scooch one right next to it so you can't
Yep.
see it.
And that's what I did with this hat because in the pattern for the Baja hat, it had you go and meet like it said to chain 2, so it still gave you the height, but said to do the first stitch right back into that hole. And I was like, okay, I can do that.
Yep.
Instead of doing the stacked, I just went and did exactly what it said, and I used that concept, method, I don't know, that instruction to do the same with this hat. So every round in this hat, the very first stitch goes back into the first wherever you
I
chain
like
out of,
it
and I
best
do
that
that
way
same.
because I know technically you're supposed to chain however many and then skip that first stitch and go into the second stitch. And that leaves such a huge gap because the chains are tiny, like they're super
And
thin.
and it
Connect to it, it
causes
stretches it all out wonky.
that what do they call it? The fault line. That's
Yes,
another
right.
terminology, the fault line. And when I got done with this one, I went, well, holy crap. You can't see the line. Like, I'm going to show you right now and see if you can point it out. Like, it's right. Hold on. See, I got to find it again. I just had it and then it disappeared on me. So it is right over here.
Yeah. Okay.
You can't, it's hard to find it, but it's like,
You have to look for it. I mean, I guess
you
if you're
really,
really searching for it, but people don't search that hard.
so you can kind of see it in the crown. I can't get the light to hit right.
Oh yeah, okay. I can kind of see it. And yeah,
You can kind of see it right here, but then
but
when it
it's
gets into the
not.
stitch, it
Yeah,
disappears.
it's not.
Like,
It does.
I
It
was
looks
like, whoa,
good.
that's awesome.
I am gonna
I
be
don't
making
like
me one
those
of those
fault lines.
beanies.
And it's made with a 4-weight yarn, but when I put this on my head, it doesn't feel heavy,
Okay.
which is odd because it is a 4-weight yarn.
Is it
But
acrylic?
yeah, it's
Okay.
called I can tell by the feel. I love this yarn from Hobby Lobby.
Okay, I've never tried that.
Because a lot of my yarns that I had in my stash before last year, basically, so before the last 6 months or so, was Hobby Lobby because I loved that yarn. I love this yarn. And now most of it's Big Twist and, I love this yarn mix of everything now. So,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. What are some just another random question, real quick before we end? How do you decide what is your definition of a good yarn? Because everybody's is different.
Hmm. Well, for me, I just and I don't know if I mentioned that. Yeah, I did mention this the other day to you, but there's certain yarns where certain days, like my fingers, it's soft, and some days it feels, I don't know if it's just dry hands versus hydrated hands. I don't know. But what makes a good yarn? Well, I suppose it would be any yarn that doesn't split on me, any yarn that isn't rough. I don't know. Just I don't know. I guess I'm not a yarn snob. I just don't. I guess
I'm just learning, so I'm like, I'm trying to figure
yeah.
out what is
I
your
mean,
definition of a good yarn?
I started out being very much Red Heart Super Saver, um, Karen 1 pounds, and then Karen Simply Softs, and the Bernat. What did Bernat
Super
have? Not the
value.
blanket, the Super Value, I think.
Mhm.
Um, so Big Twist is my new one now. I love this yarn. Those are softer to me than those other value yarns, which are also great. I just prefer those now. I mean, I don't know.
There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing at all.
Stealing a deal, as Juan says, stealing a deal. That's what makes a good yarn.
Okay.
If you can afford it, buy it. Good yarn. If you make something with it, it's good yarn.
Is there anything that you would, I guess, like to share? Anything else that you'd like to share with the crochet community?
Only thing I can think of is beyond blessed and grateful for all the support and compliments and just these boosts of confidence. Like, I'm really my worst. We're all our own worst critics, and I am the worst of my own. Like, so hard on myself. Like, but I get people in my comments all the time going, "Oh, you're doing so awesome," and all this, and it's just just
That's
a blessing,
good.
and I feel blessed because of it. So I don't feel like I deserve it, but at the same time, it's like I don't know how to explain it. Like, and it just makes me bubbly and happy.
Right. Well, yes, I agree. And I, for one, am really glad that you like decided to start watching one because that led you to me being able to find you, which
Yes.
so made me happy because when you popped up on my screen, I'm like, what is this? Right?
Yeah.
Let me go check this out. Oh, girl, you and I need to talk. We need to talk.
I know I had another person in my comments go, I like your vibe. And I'm like,
Yeah.
well, I like your vibe too.
Yep. It's pretty
So,
neat. It's pretty neat. All right, Amber. Well, thank you so much for joining me today.
well, thank you.
Yeah, super, super happy that I got to meet you. And thank you so much for sharing with us today.
You're welcome.
All right, y'all, I will see you next week. Go see her channel. Check out that video.